Radio Network, the world's conscious broadcasting network, live on iTunes and archived on iHeartRadio, the voice of consciousness. And now, join Shay Parker's Best of the Best, offering celebrity guests, lively discussions, hot topics, free psychic readings, and expert guest hosts. Simply the best in spiritual and metaphysical talk radio. Listen live on your phone or device using our universal mobile player. No app needed. Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Find out more at bestamericanpsychics.com.
This is our second week live on OMTimes Radio, and we are certainly happy to be here. We've got a great show for you tonight, folks, as I am going to introduce our guest that will actually be a guest host right here on Best of the Best. Just like we did last week in introducing Colby for the second Tuesday of the month, we are also going to have a special guest host for the third Tuesday of the month. And I'm going to go ahead and bring her on to the show right now. She is an international award-winning psychic medium. She's a psychic investigator, an animal communicator, a healer, a teacher, and of course, it goes without saying, a radio host. She's going to be right here with us on Best of the Best, the third Tuesday of every month. So, Jill M. Jackson, welcome to the show.
Hi, Shay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here on OMTimes Radio.
Oh, I know. Isn't it? This is like the greatest thing. We're very excited to be back with home, and so happy they started a radio division. So, all good stuff. But folks, I also need to give a big shout out to Jill because she is actually our Psychic of the Year on bestamericanpsychics.com for the second year in a row. She actually got it last year for 2014. I mean, I don't even know what year we're in. 2015 and 2016. I can't believe we're in 2016. What? It's so fast. So,
I can't either.
It's like, yeah.
Oh, I'm so honored to be the Psychic of the Year again, Shay, and it's such an honor to be part of Best American Psychics and everything that Best American Psychics is about. So I'm humbled that I did receive the award again this year, and I'm amongst amazing colleagues, and so it's absolutely a group effort here. So I want to share this award with everybody.
Well, we certainly do appreciate it. And that is one of the reasons that you were given it again is because you do, one of the things that we really look for amongst many, many, many other things is, the support that you do give to your fellow colleagues, because as you well know, Jill, and many out there listening know, this can be a very ego-driven, competitive, business and genre, really. And it's unfortunate because my motto has always been, yes, you can be very strong as an individual, but look how much stronger you can be as a group. And, you have exemplified that time and time again in helping your colleagues and giving free time to people and donating your services. And, so it does not go unnoticed. So
well, I appreciate that. And, unfortunately, just because someone has psychic or mediumship gifts doesn't always mean that they are spiritual, and I feel like that it's very important to stay out of ego and to recognize that as mediums and as psychics, we are truly the conduits, we are the vessels, and we actually have to get our ego out of the way to be able to do a good job at what we do. So
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Folks out there listening, I want to give a quick plug to Jill's website. It is, Jill M, as in Mary, Jackson.com. Again, JillMJackson.com. And throughout the show, I would encourage everybody out there listening to definitely browse on over there, or at least mark it down, and then, take some time later to go through the site. Lots of great stuff on there that you can help get to know Jill a little bit better. We're going to do our best here within this hour, but, an hour is not much time to really get to know somebody. So, all right. Well, what I want to do, actually, I do really quickly want to tell our listeners that you are giving away a free reading, and I apologize. I'm going to kind of cough throughout this show. I've got that. It's like 20 degrees here, and it has I don't know. The cold got in my lungs, so it's if I cough every now and again, I apologize to our listeners. You're just going to have to bear with me. So
I have it too, Shay, so I apologize as well.
All right. Well, that's okay because we can still talk. Jill is giving away a free reading, folks. It's a really cool thing that we are trying to do out there just to help those that may not be able to, sometimes you need a little extra help, but you may be a little tight on funds. So to get to the free reading, we want you to go to our Instagram page. It is just Best American Psychics. And then basically follow our account. You've got to actually, do the little Instagram follow thing, and then double tap on the BAP giveaway photo announcing Jill as our Psychic of the Year. And then all you have to do is tag a friend that's interested in psychic readings, and then we're going to choose a winner on Friday, January 22nd. And if you guys need help remembering this, we do have a post up on our Best American Psychics fan page on Facebook as well that explains exactly how to do it. But for those interested in a free reading, definitely check that out. And like I said, all the instructions can be found on our Facebook fan page at Best American Psychics, so you can check that out. So anyway, back to Jill. So Jill, I know that you obviously are going to be hosting Connect Soul to Soul right here on OMTimes, and it's going to be the third Tuesday of every month. And you actually this isn't a new show for you. We collectively brought this show over from another network. So I do want to talk about that, but I'm going to wait until the next segment to talk about that because we have to take a break in about 5 minutes here. So what I wanted to do is actually help the audience to get to know you a little bit better. So I know you, I know your story, but can you begin to give us the picture into how Jill M. Jackson became a psychic medium?
Yeah, absolutely. Shay, I was able to actually see spirits since I was a little girl, and I thought that everybody had that same gift. I had no idea that everybody could not see spirits, and for a long time it was frightening for me. And I remember the house always being full of people, and I would go and sit outside a lot of times to kind of get away from it all. And when I was 12 years old, my beloved grandmother passed away, and I was very close to her. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and she was floating above my bed, beautiful as ever, not sick anymore. And she just came back to let me know that she was in an amazing place, and she was back to perfect and divine health. And she just wanted to let me know that she loved me, and I was not afraid. It was the most beautiful experience ever. And so I continued having these experiences. I did go into the corporate world. I kind of tried to lead a somewhat normal life. I became a CPA. I graduated from college, became a CPA. And then I started getting sick because I really wasn't following my true calling. So I started studying. The gifts started coming, flooding back in. Not that they ever really left. And in 2008, I kind of jumped off that cliff, left the corporate world, and I've been serving spirit ever since. And I could not be more full of joy and gratitude every day for the work that I'm able to do.
Yeah, of course, we get this a lot with the psychics, especially on Best American Psychics, where they have started out as doing a very corporate type of job, lawyers, CPAs, administrative assistants, realtors, etc. But, the story that always remains consistent is just because you were a professional, maybe doing something else, it does not mean that, like you just said, you haven't had this your entire life, so it's like, 20, 30 years of experience with it. It's just hasn't been maybe on the forefront as your sole and only thing that you do. But it certainly doesn't mean that you haven't been doing it all this time either. So
absolutely. And, I tell people that the timing for everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. Sometimes we need life experiences in other areas to be able to do the life path that we came here to do. So I don't think it's any, I think everything is synchronistic as far as timing.
Oh, I do too. And, you actually raised a really good point, because there are so many different capacities to being self-employed. And one of them, of course, is being able to manage your own. When you create your own business, you have to know, okay, how do I do my taxes? How do I do my, what's the best way? How do I set myself up as what do I do? An LLC, a corporation, a this or that. And there's so many different aspects of really putting yourself out there as the putting your largest professional foot forward, if you will, because it's one thing to have the gift, but it's another thing to have the gift in a professional capacity. So,
absolutely.
Big differences there. And we are going to have to, our commercial music is going to start playing here in just about a minute, folks. But what I want to do is, if anybody is just now tuning in, I'd like to once again tell you what's going on tonight. I am interviewing psychic medium Jill M. Jackson. She can be found at jilljmjackson.com. And what we're going to do tonight in the show when we get back is really kind of delve into her show that she's going to be guest hosting right here on OMTimes the third Tuesday of every month right here on Best of the Best. It's going to be called Connect Soul to Soul. And this is a show that Jill has been doing actually for quite some time. But of course we're new here on OMTimes, so we have a whole new realm of listeners literally worldwide that we'd like to get everybody to know. So we're gonna cut to commercial break here, folks. But in the meantime, please do go check out Jill's website, jilljmjackson.com. We'll be right back after the break. Best of the Best. This is Shay Parker.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hey folks, welcome back. We are live. This is Shay Parker right here on Best of the Best. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're just now joining us, I have with me this evening psychic medium Jill M. Jackson. She can be found at jillmjackson.com. Pretty easy stuff there. Jill is actually our Psychic of the Year again this year for bestamericanpsychics.com. She was also our Psychic of the Year last year, and we are discussing tonight her upcoming, well, we're going to be discussing her upcoming show right here on Best of the Best, the third Tuesday of every month. She's going to be guest hosting this very show, folks, Best of the Best, with her segment called Connect Soul to Soul. So, Jill, can you tell us a little bit more about your plans for the show and what our listeners can expect?
Yes, absolutely. I plan on having some of the most amazing and gifted psychics and mediums in the world today on the show, also spiritual authors and teachers. And I'm actually really excited about the first guest that I have February 2nd. And that's not the third Tuesday of the month, but in February I will be doing the first Tuesday of the month just for February alone. And my special guest will actually be Michelle White Dove, who was Psychic of the Year with Best American Psychics, I believe, 2011.
2 years, yep.
Yeah, yeah. So,
and she also has a Lifetime Achievement Award with us. So, yeah.
Yes, she does. And she is one of the top psychics in the world today, and I'm really excited. I did an interview with her last year, and it was a really great show. We had amazing feedback, and so I'm excited that she's going to be the debut guest of mine on Connect Soul to Soul.
Yeah, that is, Michelle's wonderful. We absolutely love her, and she really was quite a pioneer within the psychic mediumship work as well, because obviously she was voted America's #1 psychic, and did it on did it on television with America's Psychic Challenge. So that's going to be a very exciting guest.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good stuff there.
Very excited about that. And yes, the show is titled Connect Soul to Soul because I feel like that's what it's all about. We are... to me, we're in this as a unity consciousness, and I feel like that if we can start living that on a daily basis, our world's going to be a better place. So that's why I titled the show Connect Soul to Soul, and I feel like that's what it's all about, connecting through the heart chakra and each other's souls, getting down to the very essence of our souls, and to me, that's so important.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's expand upon that because I know within your mediumship, I've seen you in person many, many, many times. And folks, if you ever get the chance to see Jill M. Jackson in person doing a gallery or a mediumship session, even a private session, but in particular her psychic galleries, which we'll talk a little bit about those too. But I don't even, it's mind blowing to the information that she can get is so absolutely evidential and on point. I mean, she can give names, she can give dates, she can give, accents, the color of hair, size, weight, what they passed from, stuff that there is absolutely no possible way that she could know just in a broad crowd of people. So if you ever get the chance to see her in person, I highly recommend that you do. And actually, we'll expand a little bit upon that because I know that you are touring now doing Mystic and Medium galleries. You want to tell the listeners what those are?
Absolutely, Shay. I'm really excited. I have joined forces with one of my colleagues with Best American Psychics, who was actually Psychic of the Year 2 years in a row a few years ago, Allison Hayes, the Rock Girl. And she does the mystic part of the gallery, which is the psychic readings about love, career, health, things like that, any questions. And I do the mediumship part, which is connecting to spirit. And as far as we know, we're the only ones right now in the country doing such a platform where the audience can come and get both. They get psychic messages and they get mediumship messages. And we are all about creating healing through the show, and people have commented after we've done 2 shows together so far, We have, I believe, 3 scheduled for 2016. We're in connection with a few other venues for a few more. We're actually booking into 2017 right now. We're talking to somebody for 2017. But we've received feedback that people felt a sense of healing after the event. They feel like they were entertained. There's tears, there's joy, there's laughter. And so I'm excited about joining forces with the amazing rock girl, Allison Hayes.
Yeah, no, and again, folks out there listening, I have witnessed these shows myself, and these are events in which you literally do. You laugh, you cry, you really can enjoy the messages. It's funny with gallery readings because a lot of people might be thinking, well, why would I go and sit in an audience and just listen to somebody, there's a chance that I might not get a reading, but actually a lot of the readings are very healing for the entire audience. And you can literally see people in the audience. Like if one person that you happen to be doing a reading for is sitting there in tears because they've connected to their long lost, father or grandfather, you can see a lot of the people in the audience are actually tearing up because it's so, it's very moving. And I really do. I totally agree with what you say as far as it can be a healing for many different people on many different levels. And, I think that's great. And actually, let's give a plug out to your website, mysticandmedium.com. If anybody out there is listening and is interested in attending one of these gallery events, or perhaps if you are maybe the owner of a, some type of venue where you would like to have Jill and Allison come do a Mystic and Medium event at your place, then that may be something you guys can negotiate as well. So definitely check out mysticandmedium.com, and the word "and" is written out, A-N-D. Mysticandmedium.com if you're interested in doing anything like that. So, but Jill, I want to talk to you, since we've been discussing evidential mediumship a little bit, can you talk to our listeners about the signs that loved ones can give us to let us know that, physical death is not the end and there is an afterlife? Oh, Jill, are you there? All right. Well, we may have lost Jill, folks. I'm not quite sure. Let's see.
Medium.
Oh, there she is. Okay, you cut out for just a second. We didn't hear you. So pick it back up. Pick it back up with talking about the signs that our loved ones can give us to let us know that they're okay.
Okay, beautiful. I was just mentioning that, people talk about being an evidential medium, and in my opinion, Shay, if you are not bringing evidence, you are really and truly not a medium, because our loved ones on the other side do give us evidence. They do want our loved ones here to know that they have survived the physical death. We survive our bodies. And I love some of the signs that they do give us to show our loved ones that they're okay. A lot of times they'll talk to me in readings about butterflies or cardinals or hawks, very specific things like that. And, the person in the reading has already experienced that. And it's interesting because about a year ago, I did a reading for a skeptic, and the evidence that came through was her loved one was going to show her the sign of an eagle. And wherever she lives, apparently there's not really eagles around. And so she still was not sure. She said, that doesn't make sense. Well, a year went by, and she actually wrote me an email the other day and said, I have to let you know that during the year of 2015, I've never seen so many eagles everywhere I went. She said it was astonishing.
Wow.
Places that they weren't even supposed to be. And so our loved ones will, go out of their way. And it's funny too, because they'll give us signs based on their personality. I have some loved ones that they want to pick a strange item that's not that well known. And they will give us evidence too to let us know that they know what's going on in our current lives. I did a reading the other day, and the loved one wanted to talk about the granddaughter and the Hello Kitty, and the client had actually a Hello Kitty sitting right there with her, and it was a phone reading, so I couldn't see that was there. So they do that to let us know without a doubt that they know that they're right there with us.
Well, I think it's so funny that, we've got about 3 minutes until break time, but don't you ever, as a psychic medium and you're given this impression of something, don't you ever sometimes feel like, oh, I can't even say that?
Yeah. And that's where the experience comes, Shay. And that's why I love teaching mediumship, because you have to learn not to filter the information. And in the beginning of my career, when I was doing the mediumship, yes, sometimes I would argue and say, I can't say that. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And most of the time it was very, very pertinent to the client, to the sitter. And so I have learned not to filter anything. Anything that comes through, I say, and sometimes it may make sense even a month later. So as long as we can get, and that's part of mediumship, getting our ego selves out of the way, we can connect on a very, very clear level, because our loved ones on the other side have to lower their vibration and the medium has to raise his or her vibration. You kind of meet in the middle like a radio channel, and it's not an easy process for either side, for the medium or the loved one on the other side.
No, that's why they call it a medium, because you have to find that happy medium spot where you both can communicate, which is actually fascinating. I actually want to talk a little bit more about that when we come back from break, but we are going to have to cut to break in about a minute here. But folks, if you're tuning in now, I am speaking with Jill M. Jackson. She is an international psychic medium. She's also a healer and a teacher. She's an award-winning psychic, having won Psychic of the Year for 2 years in a row, 2015 and 2016, on bestamericanpsychics.com. She is also a radio host right here on this very station, on this very show. As a matter of fact, the third Tuesday of every month, she is going to be hosting Connect Soul to Soul, which is her segment right here on Best of the Best. So we're going to talk a little bit more with Jill when we come back from break. And in the meantime, as I said earlier, you can check her out on JillMJackson.com. Stay tuned, folks. We will be right back after this short break.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe, The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul. every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hey folks, welcome back. This is Shay Parker, your host, Best of the Best. I want to thank everybody for listening this evening. We still have a half hour left in this show, and we are going to make the best of it. I have with me tonight psychic medium Jill M. Jackson. She can be found at jillmjackson.com. And before the break, we were actually discussing a little bit about how those that have crossed over can actually come back and give us signs that, hey, they're still with us, they're still around, they may not be here in physical form, but they are absolutely still with us. So, Jill, I wanted actually to ask you, because I'm sure a lot of people out there listening, if they've never had a psychic reading or a mediumship reading, why is it that some people are able to come through, or some people do come through after they've crossed over, and some people do not? If you can expand upon that.
Yeah, absolutely, Shay. What I try to explain to people is we pretty much carry our personalities with us over to the other side. So if you have someone in life that was an easy communicator, if they were kind of loud and bawdy, those people come through really easily. And sometimes when we get to the other side, this is what I've been told by the loved ones, is it's a learning curve. It's a learning experience. And so they actually have to learn to work with the energy, to lower their energy. And some people are just better at it than others.
So would you equate it to, I guess my question is, for instance, myself, I have never really, in my opinion, had or had the ability to just, ring up a person who has deceased, who has passed over. So in other words, do you think that it is easier for them on the other side to communicate with us than it is for us to communicate with them, i.e. like mediumship? Or is that too broad a question? In other words, do you think there's do you have to have like medium abilities on the other side to be able to channel down, just like you have to have medium abilities here to be able to channel up?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so at all. It is something that can be learned on the other side. And like I said, once it's kind of like here, let's say you're trying to learn how to play the piano or learn how to play golf or something like that. And once you get the hang of it, it comes easier after that. Well, it's the same on the other side. Once they get the hang of it, it's so much easier. And you will find people that go from medium to medium over the years. It's normally the same loved ones that will continue coming through because they've kind of perfected it. Another thing that I've noticed in the work that I've done is sometimes the stronger energy or the person that is better at it can come through first, and then they will be able to bring other people forward and kind of use their energy to help the other person communicate. And that's kind of fascinating to me as well. Wow. And I can actually see them lining up and helping the other person build their energy so that they can come forth and talk.
Wow, that's fascinating. So they form a whole posse up there. They're like, come on.
Yes, and trust me, they do talk. They talk about which mediums, are nice to work with, which mediums treat them with respect. I mean, they hang out. They hang out just like we do here. So, that's why they will go through certain mediums over and over, and they do get the message out. It's interesting too. One thing that I've found, and I'm actually writing a book about this now, Shay, is that once we do cross to the other side, we have the opportunity for our soul to continue growing on a soul level. And, a lot of people think that when our loved ones cross over, they all become angels, with these beautiful wings flying around and everybody's singing Kumbala and life's wonderful. And that's not always the case. Some people that had lower energy vibrations while they were here in the physical carry that with them to the other side, and it's free will. We all have free will, and they may have and choose the free will not to continue growing as a soul once they do cross over.
So then what? I mean, in other words, if they make that choice to not continue growing, like, what does that mean? Do they just kind of hang out, or?
Yes, they kind of hang out. We all have guides that work with us, and they may choose to incarnate again in another human body, another physical body. They may choose to just kind of hang out on the other side. I actually had a grandfather come through one time, and his message to the grandson was, I really don't have a message for you. I just wanted to see what this was like talking to a medium. I wanted to see if I could perfect this. And, he wasn't that nice of a person. He wasn't that pleasant of a person. And the person I was sitting with said, if you had described him any other way, I would have known you weren't talking to my granddad. So people that say, oh, all mediums say grandma and granddad are all nice and they're all knitting, and, it's not always the case. So that's been fascinating to me to learn as a medium.
Yeah, it really is fascinating. It's such a vast array of possibilities and personalities, and it's just like we are here. Right. If you think about it, there are many people who do not want to better themselves. They don't have that ambition to take their lives to the next level. So therefore, they kind of exist, but they don't really necessarily grow. And it really is. It's a fascinating thing. It's just another phase of life. So, right. I just, absolutely. It's mind blowing to me how that works. Now, as a medium, do you have people that you were saying earlier that the stronger ones often come through, repeatedly? Do they ever kind of, like, after your day is done and your galleries are done and your readings are done, do you ever have them, like, constantly nagging you or knocking at your door saying, hey, I didn't get to finish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And, I've told my fiance has experienced this many times where we are out somewhere and everybody's loved ones around are coming in, and I have to try to tell them this is not the time and place. And some of the messages they have for some of the people that are around, it's not something that I would be sharing. So yes, they do continue to come around, but that's part of the training, and that's why I like teaching mediumship and psychic development, because you can learn to shut it down somewhat and to protect your boundaries, but honestly, sometimes, Shay, it's not possible.
Yeah, I would definitely imagine it's kind of like that nagging neighbor who just doesn't stop. It's like, all right already. Yeah. So, well, we are actually going to cover your classes and your courses when we come back from break, but we have about 4 more minutes, I think, until our next break. But, I want to, can we expand a little bit upon, you mentioned your book earlier. Is that something that you're at a point where you can talk about yet, or is that kind of a little far off yet?
Yeah, it's still in the development stages. There's actually 2 books that I'm working on, and one is about my life story and how I kind of found my path, my true calling. And I want to encourage other people from, by reading my book, to listen to their own intuition, listen to the signs and symbols that our loved ones give us. Pay attention to synchronicities, and you will be told by certain things that just come in your head what your life purpose is supposed to be. I'm also under contract for a metaphysical television show, Shay, and I'm very excited about that. The creator of the show is Alicia Bowling of Creative Laughter Productions out of New York City. And so we're hoping that that's going to be picked up later this year as well.
Woohoo! I know. Alicia's great. That would be phenomenal if we can get that picked up, because I know that would. I do think. Well, I'll ask your opinion on this. I mean, obviously, going back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even, psychic work and mediumship work has kind of been a little taboo. But I think, at least in my opinion, that it's certainly becoming more accepted. And I think that there are people that are sort of coming out of the closet a whole lot more and saying, hey, I really have an interest in this, and they're not embarrassed anymore to come forward with that information. And we've been really lucky with the people like Michelle White Dove, who kind of pioneered the psychic work on television. And then, of course, we've had several others that have hit TV as well. So what would your hope be for a television show? Like what would your overall legacy, I guess, with a show be for psychic mediumship work?
to just show the integrity of mediumship, of what it's really about, and to also teach people not to be in fear. A lot of our modern and old religions teach, the fire and brimstone and fear and negativity. And in my opinion, it's not what it's about at all. It's about love and acceptance and forgiveness and surviving our physical bodies. So that's what I would love to be able to just show through a TV show, and also teaching other people how to tune into their own gifts, because I think that that's so important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, we when we come back from break, which we have to take just in a second here, we are going to cover Jill's classes and courses, because there's some great information in those, folks, that we'll be able to discuss here shortly. So again, my guest this evening is psychic medium Jill M. Jackson. She is an international psychic medium. She does readings over the telephone as well. So even if you're not in her local area, or you cannot get to a gallery with Jill, you can certainly go through her website, jillmjackson.com, and you can book a reading right there with her handy dandy little online booker. So folks, we're going to take our final break of the evening, and we'll be back with Jill, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those classes and courses coming up right here on Best of the Best. This is Shay Parker.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Of the best. My guest this evening is psychic medium Jill M. Jackson. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about, well, gosh, all sorts of stuff. We were talking about what happens when we pass over, how the folks that have passed over are still able to connect with us. And then, of course, we discussed a little bit about how a lot more psychics now are, the work is a lot less taboo, so a lot more psychics and people that are interested in psychic work are coming to the forefront, so to speak. And, Jill, did you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes, absolutely, Shay. You were mentioning earlier that it's not as taboo as it used to be, and so many people are just kind of waking up and deciding that they want to become a professional psychic or a professional medium, and they may not have the experience or the accuracy to be able to do this work. So, I had a client earlier today that had a reading with another medium that could not connect after 2 hours, and the medium actually told this client that it was her fault that she as the medium could not connect to any of her loved ones. And I think that is such a disservice to do to someone. So I just want to ask the listeners out there to make sure when you want to hire a psychic or a medium to make sure that they're tested. And as far as I know, Shay Parker's Best American Psychics is the forefront in testing psychics and mediums. Everyone's tested and validated that's on the site. So I think that's so important, especially going forward.
Yeah, it really is. It's just we do our best to validate the folks and, basically screen them so that our clients don't have to. And and we find that our clients really, they like it too, because it helps them to, like you said, that lady had a 2-hour reading today, and I'm sure she got charged for it. And, there she was out however much money. So, and thank you for saying that, Jill. But let's talk about training, because you actually offer training, and that is one of the things offered on your website, jillmjackson.com. So tell us a little bit about your classes and courses.
Okay. Yeah, I love to teach, Shay. I love teaching. I teach psychic development and I teach mediumship. And I am going to start teaching some introductory classes online. So in the past, I've always taught in person. I've taught in Asheville, North Carolina. I also teach when I travel. I've taught before in Naples, Florida. And I plan on having an event actually with the Mystic and Medium. We're going to be teaching some classes in April of 2016, April of this year. And I'm going to be teaching again with Mystic and Medium in Asheville in May of this year. But I'm going to start teaching some introductory classes online to give people out there who may not be able to get to some of the live classes some introductory exercises and things to learn when they're first tuning into their intuition, because there's a lot of things that are so important to learn kind of even before you start connecting to spirit guides and loved ones. So be sure, those of you who are listening out there and you're interested in these classes, just go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, and I'm going to be sending out some information in the next few weeks about the online classes that I will be offering this year.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. And folks, there's so much that you can learn. I mean, even if you aren't necessarily saying, hey, I'm absolutely a psychic, but you think that you may be getting some type of messages, or maybe you just have a curiosity about it. I mean, I know Jill covers a whole, vast array of topics, such as grounding and protection, soul purpose, how to raise your vibration, chakras, crystals, spirit guides, archangels, all kinds of things. And then when you go into the more advanced levels, you can get into animal totems, aura readings, automatic writing, psychometry. It goes on and on. So there's many, many different things that you can learn. And, about training, everybody out there listening, I have preached about this for years. I cannot emphasize enough how important continuing your studies can be, or even just beginning your studies, especially as Jill was mentioning earlier, if there are a lot of budding psychics out there, which we know there are, it's a really great option for you to just expand your toolbox, so to speak. So,
yeah, and it's interesting, Shay, because about 80% of the students that take my classes are not planning on becoming professional psychics or professional mediums. About 20% end up becoming professionals, but the others are just wanting to enhance their own intuition, to learn how to listen and pay attention to their own spirit guides, their own intuition, to help them in their families and their careers and decisions they may want to make throughout their lives. And I've just received amazing feedback with the classes, like I said, with even the people that aren't planning on doing this for a living.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can totally see that because, listen, everybody has guides. I mean, it doesn't necessarily... Well, actually, that's a really good point. Jill, can you explain the difference between a person's spirit guides and then versus like a mediumship type of connection?
Absolutely. All of us have a main spirit guide that is with us from the time that we are incarnated, even before we incarnate, and they never leave our sides. We have a lot of different guides that come in from time to time. We have temporary guides that may come in to help us with certain issues, but for the most part, these are not loved ones that we have known in this physical life, this physical incarnation, that have passed over. Now, every once in a while, I will experience a loved one who does take on the role of a guide for certain aspects of a person's life. That's not that common, though, but it does happen from time to time. So that's the main difference, Shay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and that's fascinating to me that, I mean, I would imagine if someone was here in this existence and then they cross over, like we were talking about in the earlier part of the show, they have this entire process that they have to go through on the other side once they do leave this physical incarnation. So for them to be able to, I suppose, advance to the level of a guide for someone here, I would imagine that would be very rare.
Yes, it is.
Unless maybe there was like a 20-year gap or something like that. I don't know. But then again, I guess over there they have no time. So,
yeah, it is rare. It is rare. I've seen it a few times, but I have seen it happen. And I actually know someone very dear to me that lost her daughter. And her daughter ended up being a main guide for her granddaughter years later. And the granddaughter can actually see, her daughter. She describes her. She comes to visit her. She helps her. And this little girl is going to be an amazing healer and psychic herself. So things like that, it does happen from time to time, but it is very rare, as you say.
Well, I'm going to ask you a really tricky question for your last question, and I don't know the answer to this, so you're going to surprise me. Is there ever, because when we pass over, we still maintain our basic sort of personality, I mean, we are the same soul, have you ever come across advice from a departed loved one, not a guide, but a departed loved one that is perhaps, in other words, are there ever times that we shouldn't listen to someone on the other side as verbatim or? That's a tough question.
That is a tough question. And as a medium, all I can do for my clients is explain to them what I'm hearing their loved one say. But to kind of give you an answer and not skate out of this question, most of the time the loved ones will give their opinion. Let's say somebody's asking about a new relationship or even a relationship they've been in for some time. The loved one will give their opinion, but they usually finish it by saying it's that their loved one's choice whether to stay or not.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. That never occurred to me before. And I thought, I wonder about that. So,
but I did have a client's father the other day give an exact name of someone that the daughter who I was the client's husband had cheated with. The exact name happened to be the husband's ex-secretary, and she knew exactly who the dad was talking about. So sometimes they will, but the dad still did not say you need to leave that marriage.
Yeah.
But he did give some things for her to ponder and think about.
Wow. And see, there you go. So fatherly advice. I guess it's take it or leave it. It's up to the sitter to decide. All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour, which means we are coming to a close here, folks. And I just want to really thank everybody for tuning in with us tonight. If you missed any of the show, we'll be up tomorrow in archive versions on OMTimes Radio under show name Best of the Best. My guest this evening has been the fabulous psychic medium Jill M. Jackson. She can be found at jillmjackson.com. Don't forget, folks, Jill is giving away a free psychic reading. Go to Best American Psychics Facebook page, and there's a post there that will tell you all about how to enter in to win that free reading, and have a little fun doing it with our Instagram page. So please do check into that. Jill, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners tonight?
No, I just want to thank you so much, Shay, for this interview. I'm so excited to be part of OMTimes Radio. I'm excited for Connect Soul to Soul and the guests that I'm going to be able to interview this year. So be sure to tune in and tune into my Facebook page as well, Psychic Medium Jill M. Jackson, and I'll have information on there about upcoming guests on the Connect Soul to Soul show.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, folks. Well, that's our cue to leave. So we're going to head on out of here until...
Thank you for joining us for Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Be sure to tune in next week for more lively discussion topics. Have a great week, and don't forget to check out bestamericanpsychics.com in case you need some professional, ethical, and accurate psychic advice from the nation's best psychics. Until next week, take care of yourselves and one another.